To pokračuje v tomto čase.
A niekedy už to tak si na stopku a ideš ďalej, nie? Ideš.
Nie, tak to už ten stôl som nechcel akorát brať.
Tak tam aj vec, neviem.
To nebude dobre, keď budeš stať, bo ťa bude brať kamera.
Ja nechcem. A kde mám stať?
To na druhú stranu choď až.
Ale potom potrebujem
Preč?
Aha. Takže
To tam ku Julovi, hej.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to welcome at the Department of British and American Studies our precious guest, Miklós Barabás, and his assistant Emese Barabás from Hungary, who are working on the second stage of a very successful project. Now it is named Meet the Citizen 2.0. The goal of the project is to make the students more aware of the European developments in the cohesion funds, and I hope that you will find a lot of enjoyment in working in the project. The good thing, the cherry on the tart today, is that after these discussions, 2 + 2 students will be chosen to visit the power centers of the European Union, and also very valuable financial prizes will be given out for your photo projects and video projects. So take your time and enjoy the work with Mr. Barabás and Emese.
Good morning, good morning. Greetings from Budapest. First of all, thank you very much for the possibility, and as far as I know, this is your first day of the semester, and full of excitement. If I remember where my, several years ago, my similar situation, it was, you behaved very, I was not so silent, I was not so polite, I don't know, is it due to the pandemic or this is your usual way of attitude? Anyhow, I'm expecting to have a lively debate with your active participation. What brought me here is actually a project what was already mentioned, a project covering 5 countries of our region. Slovakia is obviously one of the countries, then obviously Hungary, where we started the whole activity, then Croatia is also part of the project, Romania and the Czech Republic. So 5 countries of our region, on one hand a bit similar, but at the same time there are quite noticeable differences also among them. But the common feature of the project is bringing together young people and asking them about their attitude, about their feelings, about their thinking, our broader environment, and what I mean by this is the European Union. Because all of these 5 countries are part and parcel of the European Union. We, our countries, entered 16 and became a full member, as you know, the European Union more than 16 years ago, and we are here, and at the same time, what is also important from our perspective, massive beneficiary of our EU membership, which means in practical terms that we are receiving serious financial assistance from the European Union in different forms, including the so-called cohesion funds. And the basic function of these funds is somehow to limit or to reduce the financial and differences among the western part of Europe and our region. So much about the as a kind of introduction. And as was already mentioned, you are also participating in a competition where some of you would be in the position to join a team of similarly aged, so a youth group traveling to Berlin, to Germany, to Berlin, to Sweden, to Stockholm, and finally to Brussels, with the intention to present the result of your or our common work. So this is why it's quite an exciting thing. And also the photo competition, you are aware of it, is also part of the game. So that's the basic function of our being together today is not to have a one-way type of communication that I try to explain to you what the European Union is about and what you are supposed to, how you can benefit from it, but on the contrary, to have a discussion. And if we can proceed like this, we will have approximately, let's say, 35-40 minutes, and then we will also have a questionnaire what you will be asked to fill in, putting some not very complicated questions. But the important thing is to have a good discussion, and obviously we start with some kind of questions like, as I mentioned, Europe is around us. Europe is part of our life. At least this is what not only the politicians, but everybody should feel. And in what form, and my question to you is, in what form you think that Europe is present in your life? In what form does it influences your life? How you feel that you are not only a Slovak citizen, but you are also part of a bigger European community, a community of members who are member states of the European Union. So, to what extent you are familiar, you feel that you are part of, let's say, a European member of a European family? Is it that you wanted to say? To be the first is always the most difficult, but go ahead.
Okay, so actually, not a long time ago, I really felt like I'm an EU member, like a member of EU society, and I discovered it during my first journey to Slovakia. Like I find some small discoveries which improved my life, especially my journey, a lot. For example, I feel it in different ways. Actually, I prepared some kind of story about my journey, about how it was and how it was interfered with EU funds. First of all, it was after crossing the border, and my first discovery was of EU investment was in Michalovce. It was a bus station, and it was a reconstructed bus station. So it improved the quality of my being there, comfort, and be comfortable with myself. It was invested, sponsored by EU. after that, after a minute, I just came to Košice, and then I decided to go to my university and give the documents, and then I discovered this special sign where it showed that EU also sponsored and gave some money and funds to our university to improve quality of education and condition of the whole process of education, which also improved my life. And then comes the projects. So I took part also in EU projects like Erasmus Plus, and also there was a lot of activities which were also invested by EU. So in that way, I feel they're present in my life. And also I wanted to say that a lot of town projects, city projects in Košice, like reconstruction of the external primary distribution system of central heat supply, also was so supported by EU, and in that way I feel their support also.
Okay, thank you for this interesting information. Let me put the question in a different manner. Imagine that tomorrow Slovakia will not be a member of the European Union. What would then be, in your opinion, the consequences of not being a member of the European Union? How would you feel a change in your life? Yes?
Yes, sure. I think that we will, because if Slovakia will not be in EU anymore, there will not be freedom in the movement of people and goods between the countries, and especially the movement between the countries. People can feel themselves from there, traveling freely without any borders, and it's really cool. That's a very big opportunity for everybody who is a member of EU.
Very good. Okay. Sorry, something else?
However, I think that there would be also some thought flow that would encourage this leaving of the European Union, because there is a certain citizens have the opinion that it's not necessary, and I think it would show what it really means, because it's like big words which are thrown around, let's leave the EU, Slovak exit, but we would realize that, yeah, this is actually it.
I take from your first reaction that you are a pro-European, in the sense that you support and you take it for granted that Slovakia is a member of the European Union. My question that, do you know some people in your environment who do not have, let's say, a supportive or a friendly attitude towards the European Union? You are, yes?
So basically, I live in a region that really doesn't care much about the European Union, and they really talk back to it. And many of my family friends, let's say, they really disagree with most, if not everything, that European Union does, and they don't really care because they don't have the capacity to understand that what European Union does for us. So I always try to explain to them that, hey, but let's see, we wouldn't have had this if it weren't for European Union, and so on. And then they kind of give it a thought, but sometimes it helps them to understand. Sometimes they just stay in their old ways, So yeah.
One of the concrete, thank you for your reaction. One of the concrete forms of being, let's say, a member of the European Union is to have euros, and you have euro. What is your experience? If the question today would be, should you as Slovakians keep the euro, or the possibility is to go back to the previous? What was the previous monetary system? Crown, exactly. What would be the public attitude? Would public opinion as such keep the euros as it is, or would return to coronas?
I think it's very polarized, and some people, certain amount of them, would be very supportive of it, but there's also certain polarity the other one. which would be completely disagreement. So it's hard to tell because I think it's like half and half. Some people are pro and some people are anti. But overall, economically, in my opinion, I think it would be very nice.
Yeah, this is what public opinion, according to your, as you say, this is the. But how you feel about it? Is euro is a useful instrument or better to return to national currencies? But don't forget that there are countries, EU member countries, who are still having, due to whatever reason, they still maintain their national, traditional national currency. By the way, can you name one or two countries?
Czech Republic, Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary.
Yeah, this is one, absolutely. But among those who are, let's say, from the Western, because this is one thing, but in the Western part of
Hungary, the former members of the EU, like Great Britain, for example, they always
Great
always had pounds, and this is one of the most strong currencies, I would say. And they do not, how can we say, they do not agree that they should be with euros or any other currency.
Okay, but you mentioned Great Britain. Don't forget that there was a Brexit and Great Britain is not a... What
Mondta, hogy kiléptek.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, clear. Very good. So we clarified, and of course the tendency is moving towards the Eurozone, which is one of the symptoms of belonging together in the economic field. Still maintaining, let's say, everyday lifestyle in Europe. How would you imagine Europe, let's say, in 5 or 10 years' time? Because all the things are changing and moving to some kind of direction, including, by the way, the situation is influenced by the pandemic. This is why, whether we like or not, we are having this. What is your experience and what is your opinion? Pandemic, what we experienced not only in Slovakia but all over Europe. What was the reaction of the European Union? Satisfactory? How you think about it? How you evaluate? What is your opinion about the reaction of the European Union to the pandemic situation?
From what I know, they left it to the individual states to decide like what precautions to take, and I think they could have done better. Now we know, but at that time, I think it was satisfactory, in my opinion, because
you are satisfied, and
well, they poured tons of money into the states for reconstruction that should help us get back on our legs after the corona ends. So I suppose that it was a good move, and they let the individual states act accordingly to what they think is the best for their country or state. So I think it was very good of them.
I think.
So you are satisfied? Yeah. Okay.
I'm not satisfied with location policy. But there are a lot of restrictions connected with that. Because, for example, I think there are a lot of countries which restrict, for example, going to the shop and take things. So I think it have to be like more collaborative location policy.
But the situation is the following, and this is my experience this morning. You have a rather serious and alarming pandemic situation in Slovakia. This is one thing. We have somewhat less severe restrictions in Hungary. I came this morning from Budapest, and there was no border control, there was absolutely, by the way, we are part of the Schengen system, so there should be no restrictions, no limitation, free movement of people, fine and good. But how would you react to a situation? Should people come and enter without any control, without any restriction from, let's say, from a country which is more dangerous than when the situation is more serious than you have here, even if it is serious? How would you tackle the situation? Would you set up a border control, or what would you do? Would you leave people just moving still around without any difficulty, any restrictions, or you try to introduce certain measures? Yes, please.
I would say that the most important thing is to set some measures on the borders, because I think that when we're coming in and out from the country, we can basically make the situation worse when it comes to corona. And I think that it would be enough if the person coming in the country would have a negative test, for example.
So, but let's imagine it in a very practical term, that would it mean that there would be, let's say, some control stations or whatever at the border?
Yes.
Is it manageable logistically? Because I think at the beginning of the pandemic, it was a real thing that everyone was controlled, but there are a lot of people who are moving around since we get used to the way of life that it's open, and a lot of people move around every day with their pendlers.
It would
So-
definitely need a lot of thinking, but I think it would basically slow down the whole life of those people, and there would be like traffic jams and so on. But I think that there would be better if there was some restrictions. For example, like I think that when they developed the app for them to go on, I think that was a good idea.
But the anti-argument could be that it's a restriction of personal freedom.
Yes, that is correct. But I would say that depending on the situation, because if the corona gets worse, there would be the restrictions. But if it gets better, the restrictions will diminish.
So it's a dilemma also for the politicians, by the way. On one hand, yes, we are very proud that we as citizens are, let's say, of EU, we are within the Schengen. You know what the Schengen system is? Someone can explain?
Open borders for the countries that are part of European Union.
Yes, that without actually any control, theoretically speaking, you can move within the countries of the Schengen zone. But okay, the contradiction is obviously that on one hand free movement of people, on the other hand you have to somehow take care of the health situation of the citizens. So that's an ongoing debate among the politicians also, how to reflect on the situation, not complicating the matter further, what kind of vaccination you receive, because it is also a different story. But my question is that, okay, this is the situation today. What is your perception? How the whole pandemic situation would develop? Because, okay, there is a situation today. What will be the situation in your opinion, let's say in a year's time or in 2 years' time? What can the pandemic, will the pandemic stay with us forever, or somebody who just, somebody who hasn't taken the floor yet?
Well, that depends on the people, because the pandemic has been here for like, what, 2 years now? And I believe that, I guess the whole European Union should push the idea of vaccination and everything a bit better. I mean, I guess it depends on the country itself. But if people don't get vaccinated and will stay living the life like they do now, moving around, not wearing masks, meeting people, I believe the pandemic will not go away for a long time. So I think, I guess we should start pushing the whole vaccination advertisement more.
And thank you, what kind of argumentation would you use to convince those who haven't got, or who resisted until now to get the vaccination? What argument would you use?
In my opinion, I think the more we push on those people, the more they resist the vaccine. So I don't think that more advertisement would be the best way necessarily, because I think the pressure is making them resist it more.
However, you know what happened in France? In France, they put a thing called passanité, and that means that you can't enter any building or cafe or cinema without the passanité, the proof that you're vaccinated. And a week before that, after it was announced, 3 million people got vaccinated just because of that, just because they felt the pressure to do it.
Maybe that's the culture, because I think Slovakians are very traditional and they don't want something in their body because they are worried. So I think, I don't know.
Well, I think that it really depends on what is the reason that they don't want to get it. Because yes, there are the really extreme opinions, but also many people I know don't want to get it because they're like, I don't need it, I'm healthy. And they told me that yes, we were vaccinated as children, but let's say those vaccines have been around for tens of years, for decades. We know what effects they have on us. Unless these new vaccines have been tested for decades, I'm not going to get it because I don't know what it's going to do to me in, let's say, 40 years. So I guess we should really try to talk to those people and individually decide what would be the best approach.
I see. Okay.
The best way in this situation is just to wait a bit to show those people the efficiency of the vaccine. Because if you push, yes, previous speakers were right, if you push those people, you just get more and more negativity in their opinion. But we just have to wait some time to show them the efficiency of the vaccine that has been introduced. And maybe some of them will turn to our side.
So you are a bit optimist, let's say, in that sense.
I want to believe. Yes.
I see.
But the more we wait, the more people find the loopholes. You know, I cut my finger and that's the reaction because I got vaccinated. And they will find this and they will try to persuade us that it's because of the vaccine. The one big truth is that we are in this together, and individual influential or whatever in mind they have, it doesn't really work. We have to put our individual selves aside and we have to work as a team, as a European Union. In fact, we have to say that that's one picture.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please.
Also, I wanted to add that restrictions or the motivation to get vaccinated because of restrictions is a two-edged sword. Because, for example, there was this example with France, but also there was this restriction that healthcare workers who are not vaccinated cannot work at the hospital, which is eventually leading to the complete meltdown of the French healthcare system. And as such, many countries who have taken this measure are let's say, not finding that it was the best one. So positive motivation of people, for me, is the way to go. Of course, there's not just the positive motivation is the answer, but not only the restrictions are the answer. I think it's very hard to somehow manage to meld those two together to make an agreeable result for the government and for the actual public health.
Okay, thank you. hang on for a second. Obviously, we discussed rather in detail the pandemic situation, which is very much influencing our daily life. But this is not the only field where we experience serious changes, also in our daily life. Think about what is called officially and non-officially also the climate change, the climate catastrophe, or the climate situation, not only in Slovakia, and not only in Europe, but globally. Do you think that this climate, all the discussions around climate is a serious issue, or it is just, I would say, an invention of some of those who would like to make profit out of the whole situation? How do you experience that there is, let's say, a change? Yes, please.
Yes, sure, we experience it, especially we can see it this year, because this year we have so much catastrophes, hurricanes, floods, and so on, and it is a result of the global change and global warming, and we know that, and there are lots of scientific works that prove that global warming is here, and it is coming very fast, and if it doesn't do anything, there will be a catastrophe. So yeah, I think that this is a very big problem that we should solve immediately.
Okay, very good point. But my question is that when you mentioned that this is a global, let's say, challenge, and all of us, we have to face this situation. What can we do as individuals? Or can we do something at all? How you?
We should look at the source of the problem. Is the source of the problem individual behavior? Or is it the source of the problem basically a product of capitalism? A product of more is more, and we need to buy quick things, and is it the result of our actions, or the result of the way the world works? No?
So yes, and your conclusion is?
That maybe it's not up to the individuals
Not
so
up.
much as the big corporation, let's say.
Okay, so should we leave then the whole thing to the big companies, or?
No, we should demand from them some responsibility as consumers. We have that power.
I see. Because I think, yes please.
I think climate changing is a way. For example, a lot of big companies just started to use it for their benefits. I think it's not, as you said, it's not an individual thing, it's a thing of whole community. And there's has to be no big companies issue, I think. So they started to use it and popularize it, this idea of global warming. Okay, we have to do something with that, we have to start caring about our world and about our future, but not in such way.
I see. So what I get from your reaction is that on one hand, there is of course a very serious responsibility of the big corporations, the big economic players, but on the other hand, we as individuals, we also have our, let's say, responsibility. And imagine yourself in a situation that the choice is yours, and you can, let's say, present yourself as someone who is in the position to save the planet. Using a big phrase, save the planet, but at the price of giving up something from your today's way of life. Imagine that you have to pay a certain price for saving the planet. What would you give up from your current, let's say, way of life as a sacrifice?
Maybe it's something.
Would you be in the position to sacrifice anything?
Maybe some way, for example, of comfort, like using bicycle instead of driving, something like that. But it depends on how much you have to sacrifice. but if our sacrifice will actually help to save the planet.
So there is somebody who is ready to have a kind of, let's say, limited, what I would call limited sacrifice. Anybody else who would, let's say, would give up something what is our, let's say, part and parcel of our daily life, and then the price would be that you contribute significantly to saving mankind, saving the future.
But do we have to sacrifice anything? We can make good steps towards better future by doing something more and contributing by like asking people to help us clean something. Well, because we have, you know, very dirty rivers and stuff. So we can do something more, and we don't really have to sacrifice anything.
Okay.
But are you sure that we don't have to? I'll tell you an example, because the way of European lifestyle, let's say, the way we live, imagine that Chinese or people in India would like to live the same lifestyle because they see how we live. No, we are less than 500 million, but if everybody in China would live the same lifestyle, what would be the the consequences? But the question is, who am I to tell them not to do it?
That's true.
Because if we continue, let's say, we with this project, we went to the Czech Republic as well. And you know the Czech Republic is famous for Škoda, you know, and the whole, also in Slovakia you have a very strong car industry, but for them it's really, Škoda is the, you know, the number one, you know, this is, we are really proud. And then they said, the students said, yes, we are ready to sacrifice, except Škoda, because Škoda is very important for us. So immediately, you know, because the question is that if we sacrifice something, this will change, you know, this will really change my life. Because you say it's really nice, this is the number one, but people would say, you know, that I will ride a bike instead of the car. But will we really ride a bike?
Why not just make pressure on Škoda to change? It doesn't have to stop completely, just change.
Yeah, but they are changing, but then again the question is racist, and that was in the Czech Republic. Okay, that would mean that my father will lose the job. Because there would be less cars produced in, I don't know where their science is. I think one is close to Olomouc, where we also is there, it's really keen on the topic. But it's really that, okay, for the humanity, am I ready to say that, okay, I will earn less?
However, don't you think that our life will change anyway because of global warming? So anyway, we will need to adopt our life to some new circumstances. And is it better to save the planet and to live more and more, or to just continue living as we do and lose more than we can lose if we preserve it?
Yes, but here comes the thing, you know, that give me a list what we would change. Would you like to, because I know, let's say Budapest was before the pandemic. Budapest was really famous of young British and Irish coming for just for a weekend, for a stag do or something like that, and they're just, consuming the largest amount of beer and alcohol as possible. And now the question is, okay, are we ready to say that, let's say we, and I'm asking your generation, because for my generation, it was really a new phenomenon to be able to travel, and we really enjoy it, you know, that I just get on a plane and I fly. For you, it's normal. And I'm asking, are you ready to say that, okay, next weekend, I'm not going for a long weekend to Paris, just because of the fact, you know, that to say that I've been in Paris for 2 days. Are we ready to do that and say that we will be more conscious about our choices?
And let's look at it overall. Like, what changes if we all say, okay, I will live more sustainably, and we admit, okay, we agree to it. And what would change if a billionaire in China would do it and would try to produce it more sustainably? You know what I mean? Is it really up to us?
In that way, we are selfish.
But are we
because we don't want to give up our comfort, our the quality of our life, and we think, okay, one flight doesn't change a lot, but if, for example, the whole plane will face it and the flight will be cancelled, it's like something.
Why don't we develop our technologies the way that we can use planes anyway and do no waste? Like we can do something with that. I'm sure. I think that my grandma and my granddad, they didn't believe that there would be electric cars one day, but they are there, and we can use them freely every day, and it's okay. It's more eco-friendly than I don't know, renting cars and other cars. So why don't we think about making such planes and other trains, buses, and so on?
Yes?
So I guess we could also combine the global warming with the current pandemic and also develop the idea that I'm not going to do anything, like who cares? And this is exactly why we have the pandemic, because some people are like, why do I care? I'm just going to go outside, I'm not going to wear the mask, I'm going to meet my friends who have been, I don't know, in contact. And I guess, well, pretty much this is why we also have the pandemic now for like 2 years. And with the global warming, I guess the idea, I really like the idea of a butterfly effect, that if I do something positive, who knows? And it might make a chain reaction like a domino, and I don't know, maybe in the future it will change something. I mean, it sounds impossible, but I mean, it's still something, it counts.
And I think another problem with the pandemic, global warming, is that people expect the change to be rapid. We're like, okay, now we won't use fossil fuels anymore, we will all travel by electric cars, but the transition to be made, I think will require at least 20 years. And we are talking about it as if it were to happen 2 years from now.
I agree with the point because, okay, if not the coronavirus, there will be something and something. There will be, people will be so afraid of some viruses that each virus will be like provided as something like that. And I think it will be like more, people start panicking and taking everything more seriously. That's why we will not overcome this like in 10 years.
Yeah, okay, thank you. We are slowly coming to the concluding part of our being together, but if I'm not mistaken, some of you were also preparing some brief presentations or whatever.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
What? Yes? What kind of presentation you have, or what is it about? Yes, please go ahead.
So I prepared.
You have a speech.
Not a speech. It's like I have just short videos and a kind of small speech. But if you would like, I just can show only videos.
Okay, and you?
And also a presentation about and speech about the European funds and the projects that were funded by the European Union.
And what is the project about?
I have 3 projects actually in my city that I often go there, and it's about the sewage of the streets as well as 2 schools and their progress.
I see. And what is, let's say, the message? Is there a common message of the 3 projects?
Well, I would say there is, because it is basically about the improvement of our environment and the place we live in. Like, for example, for students, schools are second homes, and the time we spend, it should be in places that are better for our health, for example, like the sewage systems, and it can make our lives better. And I think that with the help of European Union funds, for example, the future generations can also benefit from it, because it will stay here what we do now, and we can basically make a legacy out of it.
I see. Oh, that's very encouraging, very good. Somebody, yes, please.
I have a video prepared about an East Law Ontological Institution here in Košice that was the renovation of which basically was invested by the EU.
What?
So the renovation of this institution was invested by the EU.
I see. And what are these innovations?
So they bought new linear accelerator here to Slovak Oncological Institution, and it helps to have some radiation doses for oncological patients and to fasten the process of cure of these patients. So this is only a short video from this place, of this place.
Okay. Somebody else? Oh, sorry.
I prepared just a brief summary of why the European or why the involvement of the European Union is important for the infrastructure of Košice region, and that it is not only investment in let's say green means of travel, but also very significant investment to actually make the roads and the infrastructure of Košice region work, because it is so underfunded by the national government of Slovakia.
I see. And you have any, let's say, experience about the public reception or public reflection on?
Yes, I had a concrete example that was from a report on Slovak national television. It's about this village of Dargol, where 20,000 cars go through the center of this little small village every day, and there is a highway needed very urgently, and this highway will not be even on paper till 2028. Plus because the Slovak government does not have the capacity to actually build a highway or prepare a project anytime sooner, because there are so many. And the traffic is so bad that people even cannot get through from one side of the road to the other, sometimes for like 10 minutes, because the cars are still flowing.
A typical situation, by the way, not only there. Yes, you wanted to add something?
I prepared short interviews of people from the street and their perception and the knowledge of EU fund and their perception of how money is spent on the quality of money spending. I tried to make an English subtitles because they are all Slovak.
Okay. Very good. There is a time factor also, I'm afraid. Contact anybody else who prepared something, who would like to share at least the basic idea. Yes, please.
Yeah, like I already know that the teacher on this EU formalism app, and I found actually a gallery with Helen, which is here in Košice, somewhere near like Mexico, like the main part. So I actually found that this project, the renovation of all swimming pool, was funded by EU. So therefore, it actually helped to develop the culture and art life in the city. So yeah, and I was actually participating in some of the art exhibitions. So I was a part of it, and I saw how people enjoy the place, and it's thanks to the reconstruction and innovation.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. What I can, because that is a time factor also, and still we have the famous questionnaire exercise, which would take just a couple of minutes. So what I suggest is I would like to collect all those videos, and what we will, because that will be a report about the whole project. And then we will use as an illustration your video, so it will be absolutely integrated into the overall result of the report on the report of the project. So thank you very much for activities of those who took the time, the energy, and put these ideas into the form of a video. So what we will do now is, without coming to a final conclusion, but let me tell you the following, that we will put the same questions in all the 5 countries what I mentioned already, and we will compare the result of the answers we will analyze. It will be very interesting. We did the same thing 2 years ago, and it was for us also very surprising to see the significant differences in attitude, in approach of those who responded, in spite of the fact that we live seemingly in the same area. So we will do the same. We will do the same with this question, and then of course we will make it available to you. So you will get from Anna the questions, the questionnaire, and request you to the questions are not complicated.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much.
Hát most házi dolgozattal készültem. Ezek dolgozatok?
Nem, ezek
Ja, bocsánat, ez
Neked kávékod.
Tessék?
Neked kávékod.
Neked kell?
Neked
Azt
kávékod.
hittem, hogy dolgozatot készültem. Jó, értem, én tudom. Az a baj, hogy nagyon túl ízébe ülünk, de nem baj, ha felállnak. Hány óráig tart ez az óra? Nem beszélek sem.
A negyedik tartani kellene, negyedik kellene.
Na jó, azért mondom, hogy jó.
Jó az úgy, hogy itt előtt
Szerintem nagyon csak most, de ez már itt az videó. És amikor már mindenki látta, most először színek fognak kérni, amit tudjuk, hogy kisülünk előtt, hasonlóan másnak lehetni. És én ezt mutatom, hogy ez az milyen aktivitás. És akkor egy ilyen objektív részlet kialakul, hogy ki volt, aki aktívan beszélt, ki volt, aki aktívan a projektben részt vett, ki volt, aki megviselkedik. És akkor nekik is lehet, hogy kiválasztunk ki a végén, mert a végén is hiszen elfelejtett. Szerintem ez úgy szerződik, mert ez ugye kettőben, hogy a képegi volt, és mindenki tudom, hogy ez
azt kellene, hogy ugye van egy hogy ezen a héten, azért most hétfő van, arra van legalábbis esély, hogy ezen a héten.
Persze, én ezt úgy mondom, hogy a késő szervágyon.
Jó, mondjuk. Ezt a hogy jelenteni, mint a fedőnek, hogy ez megnézik, értelem szerint a kérdések nem számítanak, azok anonima, és úgy csináljuk kimennénk az állomásra, nem bárki ezzel egyszerűen. Biztos, hogy aki van, Okay, thank you.
Who's your seminar with? Who's your seminar with?
I don't know, this is my first day.
Oh, this is your first day here?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't worry about the seminar because I can discuss the seminar question with your supervisor or your teacher.
Oh.
So, I think it's worth staying for a few minutes. And this is just the first day here, so you will not miss anything.
It doesn't matter if I stay.
I think that I can agree with your teacher later.
Okay, thank you then.
Who's the teacher you don't know?
I will tell you in a minute. I really don't know.
Okay, just let me give me the name.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, you do not have to give your name on the question, so it's, anonymity is strictly observed. Yeah?
Okay, because we are approaching the end of the whole session, okay, there is a secret activity after this one, okay? Our guest will visit the Košice railway station and will randomly address passing by people, okay, asking questions about European projects, development and membership and so on, feeling European. This is not an obligatory activity. This is an activity that you can gain extra impression points for. Okay, and we would like to offer you to accompany them, to get a little bit closer to them, to have the opportunity to discuss more with them. Think about this possibility, and if you have time in the afternoon, they and I would personally be very, very much obliged and happy to make this company and get in touch with them more, just to understand what is this project about and how they think about it. Okay.
In practical terms, those who are interested, where to meet and what time?
Okay, we will return to it later.
Okay.
Let them some time to think it over, because they can have different programs.
Start collecting the...
Okay, so meanwhile, I would like to tell you the details about the evaluation process. Okay, it's about choosing the people based on this meeting, based on your discussion. Okay, there are several criteria that we will observe. Your activity in the video and photo making projects. This is one criteria. Your activity today and communication here in this group. And your activity in volunteering. Okay, this is the third also question that we will discuss with our guests. So when we sum up all your activities and we will make the final list, I will let you know the 2 names by the end of this week, who will be the 2 lucky persons who can travel with them and with the other chosen students to the big journey to Brussels, Stockholm and Berlin. Okay? So be active and you will be rewarded.
Okay, that's then
that's the end. Okay.
That's the end. And first of all, thank you very much for you behaved in a very polite, attentive and moderate manner. Congratulations. Would your teachers experience the same type of attitude and behavior during the semester? This is because this is the first day of the semester.
You have to ask them.
Okay, let's see. But we will be in touch anyhow, not only at the railway station, but as I told you, we will send you the result of the questionnaire as well. And don't forget that we wrote independently of the result of the competition, because this is a competition. Please take At least one. At least one. Okay, thank you very much once again for your participation.
Okay, I also thank you very much for Mr. Barabas for just a final word, guys, okay, and I will let you go. So I also thank you for Mr. Barabas and Emesha for visiting us again and for offering this wonderful opportunity to accompany them to their journey. And those who think that they could accompany them after in the afternoon at the railway stations, please stay here with me now, okay? So we can discuss the details later. Okay. So if there is not a big thing planned for today, I will sacrifice a few minutes, definitely.
Okay. Don't forget that the railway station in Košice is a great place.
In what way? What do you mean?
If you are in good company, that can be a really good place. Yes.
Okay, thank you once again.
So we would need 4 people.